There are so many things I want to say in this short video, but I'll try to make it quick. One, further evidence that these NASA rockets are balloons, giant helium balloons. Look how it just kind of rocks back and forth here. Come on. Like this little helium balloon rocks back and forth. And notice the flight path it takes. I already talked about this, but just further evidence that if this was tons and tons and tons of pounds, it wouldn't just kind of drift like this balloon. It also is hilarious to me that they talk about how fast it goes, that it's going 17,000 miles per hour. Watch how slow it is. It's going slow because it's just a balloon that's being released just like this. SpaceX rocket, look how slow that is. You're telling me rocket boosters are flying that up in the air? No, they tell you it goes fast and it has heat, so you believe that. Don't believe it. All right, guys, I have 100% proof that if you think these SpaceX rockets are literally landing from up space and landing down, follow along. I'm going to show you 100% proof it's total nonsense. Ready? Follow along. There's going to be this little piece of debris. See it? It's not a bird. It's a piece of debris that magically floats back up and attaches itself to this rocket. It's not a bird that flies up there and lands on it. It's a piece of debris because all they're doing is they had launched a rocket and they're putting the camera in reverse. So it's literally you're watching something play backwards. And people literally think this thing is coming back down and landing perfectly. Nothing's going to space. SpaceX is as big of a hoax as NASA is. If you think this is actually happening, you need to do a serious reality check. Look at this. Piece of debris, flying, reattach it. All right, guys. Today, I want to talk about this man, J.R. Tolkien, and his books were my favorite books growing up, The Lord of the Rings, and he also had the book The Hobbit. And these books were my favorite because they were fantasy. They made my imagination go wild. They had giants and dragons and all sorts of things. But, you know, the more I think about it, maybe he was trying to tell us history instead of a story and fantasy. And I'll get into what I mean by that. He used to always reference Middle Earth. Middle Earth, he has as his maps. His maps were all Middle Earth in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. This is what he talked about. And when I think about Middle Earth, now what I think about is all the flat Earth maps that you see and that people think maybe we are in the middle of a large, expansive plain. I myself think this, and we are in Middle Earth. And we've got the ice walls around us and bigger land masses all around, hidden land masses. Maybe he was trying to tell us something, not just about that.
Who's that? No idea. Can we eat him too?
Giants turned to stone by the sun in his books, in the movies. Very peculiar, especially when you start seeing all these giant stones that resemble humans. Maybe, like I said, maybe he's trying to tell us something instead of creating all this fantasy. Look at all these things that literally look like giant humans, that one especially, frozen in stone. Giant foot. This one could be a statue. That one's not so much a statue, especially not that one. Not only that, but he talked about dragons a lot. Dragons, of course dragons are fake, right? But they're referenced in the Bible quite a bit, and why would the zodiac signs pick all these real animals, 12 real animals, and then just a random fake dragon? Makes you wonder. What else do we got? Oh, there's also King Solomon referenced in the Bible, and King Solomon had a magic ring that could supposedly summon demons. And if you know anything about Lord of the Rings, There's a magic ring that can have power over people. It can turn you invisible. It is basically what the entire series is about, questing after that one ring. I don't know why this is freezing here. But there we go. We also have the 9 kings of Europe. Okay, 9 kings in Lord of the Rings. We had the 9 kings of men who were basically turned into demons. Truth, stranger than fiction, my friends. I used to not think this, but truth is definitely stranger than fiction. And not only that, but you can find giants, you can find dragons referenced in the Bible all the time. I used to also think the Bible was fantasy. The Bible is real, teaches you about the firmament, flat earth, dragons, giants. Truth is stranger than fiction. Oh, hey, do you know stars and planets aren't what you think they are? I know that's really hard to believe, but I want you to do something for me. Go to Google, type in stars in space, and then click on images. Scroll through all those and tell me if you can find one that isn't CGI. Same with planets. Go to Google, type in planets, and click on images. Start scrolling through those and you're going to notice every single one is computer generated. You know why? Because a planet isn't a solid object you can send a rover to that's millions of miles away. Nope, the Bible says they're wandering stars. Kind of looks like it too through a telescope, but as always, don't believe me. Please go research yourself.
Let's give it a try. Tell me lies. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies.
Some things to question to challenge the narrative in your mind of what you live on. This is the Willis Tower in Chicago. This picture is taken 60 miles away. Over the course of a 60-mile distance, the Earth curvature is supposed to be 2,400 feet. That means you should not be able to see something unless it is over 2,400 feet, 1,400 feet, and we see the whole skyline. Next is Polaris. Okay, Polaris is a star that doesn't move. It doesn't move ever. Day, week, month, year, never moves. If you were to look, it's always there, and we are supposedly spinning at the equator 1,000 miles per hour, traveling 66,000 miles per hour around the sun, and then the whole solar system is supposed to be traveling 400,000 miles through the galaxy, yet that doesn't move. And to clear something up, you cannot see it in some parts of the Earth, yes, but it's because of perspective. Like if you're in a giant room and looking up, you're not going to see the same thing on this part of the ceiling as 3 miles away. Here is a star. This is what a star actually looks like if you yourself look through a telescope. It is not a giant ball of gas on fire millions of light years away. Looks like shimmering lights kind of looking through water. Question the narrative. Speaking of stars, our local star supposedly is supposed to be 93 million miles away. These are crepuscular rays. These alone prove that the sun is not 93 million miles away because you can use math and you can use science and geometry and you can trace those angles back to the source, and the source says it's not 93 million miles away. Reflection of sunlight. Okay, this is what it looks like on a flat surface. It comes to your face. It comes to your line of vision. If this was curved, it would look like this. Light on a curved surface gathers the light. It does not reflect it back to your field of vision. Now, if this was the moon, and the moon is giving light, or the sun is giving light to the moon, again, it would gather it. It would not reflect it back to us on Earth. But not only that, if it were doing that, that light from the sun to the moon to us would still be warmer than the shade, warmer than the moon's shade. But the moon's light is colder than the moon's shade. That is observable, that is repeatable, that is pure science, actual science, not pseudoscience that you can test yourself and prove that the moon is creating its own light that is colder than its shade. Antarctica. Flat earthers believe and know that it is the ice walls that surround the flat earth and it holds in the water, because water, the oceans need a container. Water is always level. Antarctica is this. And people will say, well, how do you know that? Or what makes you think that? One, something they don't tell you in school, Antarctica is the highest point on Earth, highest elevation on Earth. They don't tell you that for a reason. 2, there is a treaty signed by over 50 countries. And a lot of these countries supposedly are at war or hate each other. China, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, US. Somehow they can all come together. They can all come together and decide no one's allowed to go to Antarctica and explore unless they're on a guided tour, unless they're on a tiny little portion. Something shouldn't sit right with you about that. Some of these other things shouldn't sit right with you. Now, I'm not telling you what I showed you should just automatically make you a flat earther, but they should cause you to question the narrative you've always been told. And if you question that, it leads you to explore and look into things and research. And then you start to see things aren't what you've been told. Question everything. Chicago skyline. Alexa, how tall is the tallest building in Chicago?
The tallest self-supporting structure in Chicago, Illinois is the Willis Tower, which is 1,451 feet tall.
Alexa, how many curvature feet are there of the Earth in 60 miles?
From SureDog.com. Note that at 60 miles the curvature charts show over 2,400 feet of drop.
Alexa, why can I see Chicago from 60 miles away in Michigan?
From iHeart.com. Apparently the Chicago skyline was visible 60 miles away in Michigan because of something called Fata Morgana.
My opinion is that this is nothing but a giant helium balloon. I've been picking on SpaceX, but I don't want to leave you out, NASA. Watch this angle. If this were really 5,000 tons, there's no way it could have this angle. Look at this angle. That's an angle of a giant helium balloon with some thrusters. And I want to show you some more evidence of this. These are so, in my opinion, fake. One, because no one's going to space. There's a firmament. But watch these. They go up and then they start to take an angle. They're not real spaceships going to space. There's angles that only a helium-filled giant fake balloon could take. Look at this one. Look at this angle that it starts to take. And then watch the fake nonsense of this one. You can see there are literally like sparklers that come out here. That has nothing to do with the ship. Sparklers, it's all part of the show. Watch this, rises a little and then comes back down. Oh yeah, nothing to see here. Not a big giant balloon. Look at this angle it's taking that only a helium-filled balloon could take. And the best part about all these, what I really love, is how it's going up and then it'll start to just kind of take this path. Oh, because it's taking a parabolic path to go around the Earth to use the Earth's slingshot, blah, blah, blah. It's going up and it's coming straight back down, in my opinion. Watch this angle it starts to take. It literally goes to the point where it's coming down. And then they cut away and they've got a different shot, pre-recorded things that are definitely not still from this rocket. Okay, look. It's doing this right now. You can see it's starting to curve. Starting to curve, and it's literally going to start looking like it's going down, and then they're going to have to cut away. SpaceX is fooling you with holograms and reversed footage. NASA is fooling you with balloons, giant helium-filled balloons. NASA is the #1 consumer of helium in the whole world because of this and because of their satelloons. Oh wait, do you know there's no such thing as satellites that orbit the Earth? Nope, they're just big balloons up there flying around with a whole bunch of helium. That's why NASA is the #1 consumer of helium in the entire world. But don't just take my word, research yourself. Take that, NASA!
NASA has hundreds of these satellite balloons up in the air right now. I never knew these NASA satellites existed before Flat Earth. Have you seen them? Google and many other companies have fleets of these balloons as well. Look up Project Loon. The fact that NASA and its subsidiaries hardly discuss these so-called satellites was a huge proof for me because it evinces a deliberate effort to conceal the fact that space satellites don't exist. don't exist, don't exist, don't exist. The whitewash of these balloon satellites is evidence that they are lying about space satellites. These high-altitude balloons can carry 8,000 pounds and include telescopes, radar equipment, communications equipment, internet.
Okay, I want you to look at this again. That was a sled going 6,599 miles per hour. I want you to take note. Watch how fast it seems like it's going, please. So fast you can't even see. Okay, now I want you to read this, or I'll read it to you. If a rocket is launched from the surface of the Earth, it needs to reach a speed of at least 7.9 kilometers per second. Per second. That speed, get out of the way, is 20 times the speed of sound. Okay, and I'm a miles guy, so I want to know what that is in miles. In miles, 7.9 kilometers per second is 17,671 miles per hour. It's almost 3 times faster than that sled you could hardly even see. Now let's look at these rockets and see how fast they're going. And yes, I know they could, they don't just go 0 to 17,000 instantly, but this is a balloon. It's being launched like a balloon would. It's starting to float. It goes a little faster, but not much, although the rockets are the same. And you could say, yeah, it takes a long time. But let's watch this rocket from an airplane that's had a lot of time to gather speed.
Set at the VIP section, watch and launch. Yeah, but I've never seen it from the air. Yeah, that's incredible. Come on, they're right, buddy. That's great. Can you still see okay? Yep, thank you. Remarkable. I've never...
Think of what that 6,000 miles per hour looked like. That's 6,000 miles per hour that you could hardly see moving because it was going so fast. This is never going to reach 17,000 miles per hour. Not to mention the G-force that it would crush the pilots in. Guys, just because they say it doesn't mean it's true. Also, I'm going to replace this hat with this nice little hat that I made right here. If anyone is interested in purchasing one of these, I want to know how many to get. So message me or put a hat comment in the comments so I can figure it out and start sending these out. Question everything.